What's up guys, welcome back. In this video, I'll show you how to create a table view with Constellation for collecting a list of records from users. Something like this. It lets you collect employment history from the user. They can add multiple employment records and each record captures employer name, job title, whether present employer, start date and end date of the employment. Towards the end, I'll also show you how to convert this into a repeating view. So stick around till the end. But before we start, I have a small request. If this video helps you and you would want me to make more videos on Constellation in the future, please make sure to hit that like button and leave your comments below. Because a lot of effort goes into making these videos and your every single like makes that effort a success. Alright, let's jump right in. Here our case type with a very basic loan approval workflow defined in it. By the way, if you want to learn how to create a case type and define your workflow in it, you can watch this video. You'll find the link in the description and in the card above. Now in this workflow, we'll add a step for collecting employment history or employment records of the borrower. Let's move it up here and save. Next, we'll create a view for this step in 6 simple steps. Step number 1, create a data object for the employment record. Click Data, New to create a new data object. Enter a name. Click Next. Make sure Create Data Model is set to Manually and Submit. Next, we will add the fields that describe our employment record. Employer of type text single line. Job title also of type text single line. Present employer of type Boolean. Start date of type date only. And end date of the same type, date only. Submit and save. With that, our employment data object is ready. By the way, I have covered data objects in detail in this video. You'll find the link in the description and in the card above. Alright, let's move on to step number 2. Create a view in this data object. This view will be used for adding an individual employment record. Go to the UX tab, Other Views, scroll down. In the Form section, click Create. Enter a name and submit. Our view is created. Let's open it up. Now here we will add the same fields that we just created. Employer, job title, present employer, start date, and end date. Let's move the present employer field up here. By the way, you can preview the view on the left side. To the end date field, let's apply a disabled condition, custom condition, when present employer is true. This will disable or gray out the end date field for the current employer. Submit and save. With that, our view is ready. Alright, let's move on to step number 3. Create a data relationship between this employment data object and the borrower data object. Why? Because we want to collect employment records or employment history of the borrower. So these two data objects must be linked with each other. Let's go to the borrower data object that we created in the last video with all these fields to collect the basic information of the borrower, like their first name, last name, date of birth, phone number, and so on. Now here, we'll add another field, employment history, of type embedded data. In the data object, choose employment. Now here, select list of records. This is very important to allow a borrower to include multiple records in their employment history. And submit. With that, our data relationship or the embedded data field, employment history, is ready. Let's move on to step number 4. Create a data relationship between the borrower data object and the loan approval case type. Because our loan approval workflow needs to collect the borrower details like basic information and employment history. So our borrower data object must be linked with the loan approval case type. Let's go back to the case type. The data model tab. In fact, we have already created this data relationship in the last video. But let me just delete it and add it back so you could understand how to create it, even if you missed the last video. Add field, loan, borrower, of type, embedded data. In the data object field, this time, choose borrower. Leave this as single record because every loan request will collect the details of a single borrower only. And submit. Well done. You have created the data relationship or the embedded data field loan borrower. Let's move on to step number 5. Add the employment history data relationship to the view of the respective step in the workflow. Switch to the Workflow tab. Select the step Enter Employment History. Configure User Action. Now this is the view of this step. Here we will add the embedded data field Employment History. Click Add Fields. First, look for the embedded data field Loan Borrower. Click the arrowhead for more options. Fields. Then look for the other embedded data field Employment History. Select it and add. Here we are basically accessing the employment history field defined in the borrower data object through the loan borrower field. Finally, let's move on to the last step. Configure this embedded data field employment history to display as a table. Make sure Display As is set to Table. Add or Edit Records In is set to Model. In the field Use a View or Action, select View. Then in the field below, choose the same view that we created earlier in the Employment Data object, Employment Details. Scroll down. In the Columns section, let's remove primary fields. We'll add the fields that we want to display as columns in the table. Employer, job title, present employer, start date, and end date. Let's move the present employer field up here. By the way, you can preview the table on the left side. Lastly, custom add label. Let's change it to record. Submit and save. Well done. With that, you have completed all 6 steps. Let's recap. Step number 1, create the employment data object. Step number 2, create the view for adding employment records in this data object. Step number 3, create an embedded data field employment history in the borrower data object. Step number 4, create another embedded data field loan borrower in the case type. Step number 5, add the employment history field to the step view in the workflow. And finally, step number 6, configure the employment history field to display as a table. Alright, let's test our changes. Preview. I'll create a loan request. Let me navigate to the step Enter Employment History. This is our table with the specified columns. Add record. When I select the checkbox present employer, note that end date is disabled. The record is added. From the Actions menu, you can edit it as well as delete it. Let's add it first. Finally, let's delete it. By the way, you can also configure the embedded data field employment history to display as a repeating view instead of a table. Let me show you that real quick. Exit preview, enter employment history step, configure user action, employment history field. In the display as field, this time choose repeating view. Then in the record of view field, choose the same view employment details that we used earlier for the table. Submit and save. Let's test it out. I'll create another loan request. Navigate to the step Enter Employment History. This time there is no table. Click Add Record. The above view is repeated for the second record. For those of you who have worked with older versions of the Pega platform, if you're wondering what an embedded data field essentially is, an embedded data field of type single record is a single page property, whereas an embedded data field of type list of records is a page list property in Pega. That's all for now. If this video helped you and you would want me to make more videos on Constellation in the future, make sure to like and subscribe. By the way, you can download the code zip file for this tutorial from the Telegram channel. And if you need Pega training, you can DM me on Instagram. You'll find all the links in the description below. I'll catch you in the next one.